Hi, Mick Holly and Andre again here, talking about the Treasure Map and how we use our Treasure Map workshop in order to convert our financials into our future strategic thinking. Essentially, our Treasure Map has 4 key building blocks, being the money-making machine, the wealth creation engine, and our story. So those are the 3 key driving building blocks, allowing us to establish the treasure within our business, those key strategies, some of the concerns and risks that we have to think about, ultimately driving the result that we require. So this allows us now to not only understand our now position, but also be able to, within the same treasure map, drive the future and how that will translate into superior financial performance. Well, let's see how we do. Essentially, we start off, let's say, in this case, we're starting off with our revenue, establishing, well, at the moment, we've got about a $15 billion business, and this business is producing a gross profit of 24%, so we got that quickly onto our treasure map. And essentially, we all understand that our total investment is about $10.4 billion, and currently, our growth rate is stagnant a little bit, producing a profitability, or an operating profit of somewhere around 14 cents per dollar. These numbers are achieved simply by going to our tools, so we can interface between the treasure map and our one-page financial statement scorecard. We notice this is our total revenue, this is our growth rates, this is sort of the profitability. We can get a quick feel for our margins, get a quick understanding of how our profitability is operating, etc. So there is essentially the key ways that we get to these numbers, making this very easy and system. Now, from here, what we want to do is get a little bit more about our current understanding in terms of our story. Remember, the story is all about taking growth, converting growth into superior profitability with the right rigor around our balance sheet, with specific focus on working capital, getting to the cash that we need for our future growth and for our shareholders' needs, as well as establishing how we create value in our organization. So those are the 5 key focus areas of our story. And we want to always ensure that when we translate our strategy and our future, how we are moving the dial within these 5 key integrated environments. Well, from here, our first consideration is sometime in the future, which could be within the next 12 months, the next 3 years, doesn't matter. We want to see a $20 billion business, shall I say, producing gross profit margins of somewhere around the 26%. So let's quickly go back into our one-page scorecard and put in these numbers to see how this would impact us. So we want to have a $20 billion business. There you are. We want to drive those margins to at least 26%. There is our 26% margins. This gives us a little bit of a feel for how our operating profit will be established. And now we want to move forward with our strategic thinking. The first thing that we understand is that we're going to drive about a 5% sustainable growth rate over this period of thinking. And the key areas that we're going to target in order to drive this additional volume are certain specific divisional growth areas and high growth in some new markets. So hypothetically, this is just for demonstration purposes. All right, let's move forward. And we notice from our one-page scorecard that this is going to give us our operating profits of greater than 15%. We like what we see and we can move on. So this gives us the significant benefit that we've just spoken about in terms of our operating growth. It tells us a little bit about what's going to happen from our earnings per share environment, and these are significant impacts to our business model. Moving forward, we now have established that hypothetically, so I'm trying to be a bit controversial here, and I'm not by any means stating this as a strategy, but we've decided hypothetically, just to put some fun in, we're going to use working capital as a very powerful method to drive this as a competitive advantage. And the key things that we're going to do in the working capital environment, let's go and have a look and see what we're going to do in the working capital environment, is we're going to have inventories that nobody else can match. So we're talking about 150-day inventory, and we're going to re-engineer our supply chain and really focus on those strategic alliances finances and allow them to drive their business from a cash viewpoint and use us as a partner to do so. So those are the key things. And at the same time, we also realize that we're going to need about an additional investment in our fixed assets or into our capital to about somewhere around $7 billion. So those are the key things that we're going to need. What this tells us a little bit is, just to get a quick impact, that we're going to need about $7.3 billion of additional cash to do this whole thing. So that gives us a bit of a feel for the type of capital that we're going to need. There you are. We've stated the cash requirement and our total investment going forward in terms of doing this. Looks like we're going to need about or drive our total investment from 10 billion to about 15 billion. Well, of course, now we want to think about whether this is going to be self-funded or we're going to go to the capital markets. These are all sort of key considerations that we're going to bring in. At the same time, we better put a quick note about how we're going to use working capital as a competitive weapon. And we also understand that there's going to be a significant cultural change that's going to be required to do this, and whether our existing people can get there or not, this is something that we have to put under consideration, because one of the key things is we're looking at a very low operating cost structure, which is a bit different to what it is today, in order to achieve this result. Well, now I think you've had a quick feel for the treasure map and how we drive the treasure map into the future, and use this as a very exciting and engaging methodology to look at strategy and drive the key evidence elements that strategy will produce inside both the treasure map and our future map. Mick Holly here and Andre again, and thank you for your very brief time, and hopefully we can talk further about how we can do this in your organization. Bye for now.